Hello, fantasy NBA aficionados. Trying to get an early update out this week. I'm going to be busy on Monday, and by Tuesday, I'll want to do some football stuff. So, this might be my best chance to update you guys. First of all, overall in the week, as near as I can tell, I went 4-6. So, not as great a week this week. And it actually just seems like I'm missing something somewhere because I thought I had. I thought last week I was 7-4, which would be 11. So I don't know how I'm 4-6 this week. So I probably miscounted somewhere, but that's okay. Still pretty pleased with how things are going. Considering again the varying formats. Taking over orphan teams is hard, and some of those teams are really going to suck, and they've actually done okay so far. A lot of the teams that I drafted this year are actually doing pretty well. So anyway, let's break it down a little bit here. I tried to get a little more organized this time so I could kind of get people, relevant information that might help you with your league. That's kind of what I'm getting at, or at least, give you an idea of some of my thought processes. So anyway, we will just start with the team. I got the Detroit Pistons, and had pretty much planned on sticking with my roster. However, I had a couple of offers come my way, and I took them. Now, these trades have not been finalized yet, so I don't know exactly what the story is on that. I mean, they've literally been sitting out there for almost, it's been 24 hours. So maybe somebody's going to veto it. I don't know. But as of this moment, I have agreed on some trades here. And the first one was a three-way trade. Basically, I got Giannis's brother. I'm not even sure. Thanasis, I think is his name. Antetokounmpo. And that is just a throw-in. Basically, I may end up literally even cutting him. I'm not sure. He's owned by 3% of league teams, or actually sleeper teams. So he's not really that what matters. But what does matter is I got a 228 first round draft pick for Tobias Harris. Now, there was some heat in the chat about this, saying Harris should have gone for more than that. I can just tell you now, based on the first 2 weeks of the season, absolutely not. He looks old. He looks fading. And if I'm wrong, then I'm wrong. But 2.5 years from now, when I get that first round pick, I feel like I'm going to be okay with that. I feel like Harris was not so much dead weight, but if I'm going to get a good offer, I'm going to take it. Now, I did keep telling these guys, as much as, I'll take the first round pick, I still love those second and third round picks that nobody likes, but they kind of, I guess, they're an afterthought. People don't throw them in, and I wish they would have, but it was a 3-team deal, and I can tell you now, I don't want to mess up a 3-team deal over second and third round picks, especially in a 32-team league where it's just going to be hard to get people to agree. So Tobias Harris for a 2028 first round pick, and I plan on keeping that pick. I don't plan on getting rid of it, and we'll see how that goes. The other thing I did on this team was I traded for Cooper Flagg. I've had a couple of deals made that actually got vetoed, so this one might get vetoed too. There's something about just Cooper Flagg being the first overall pick that people think I should be paying a lot more for him, and frankly, I probably would. In fact, one of the reasons I got that 2028 pick was because I thought maybe I would need it to get Flagg. As it turned out, I didn't, and so now I'm going to try and keep that pick, at least for now. If this trade gets vetoed, I probably throw my hands up and just say, forget it. But I do have some draft capital. If I really need to make a gigantic offer, I can. I did have to give up Asar Thompson, and I did not really want to do that. But he's a good player. In fact, the players that I gave up were some bench guys. I think I gave up Isaiah Stewart. I think I gave up Duncan Robinson. And I gave up Asar Thompson for Cooper Flagg, which, if that deal goes through, I'm taking it. I will definitely be happy with that. What I need to have happen is Jaden Ivey to come off of the injured reserve. I definitely need him now with Asar Thompson gone. I need Ivey to come through. It's interesting because I have him on another league too. So really crossing my fingers that Ivey gets his act together and comes out and is the player that I think he can be. So yeah, nothing guaranteed on that. I'll update you next week on if that happens. But I love having Cooper Flagg, and I didn't have to give up any draft picks to get him. In fact, the guy who had him wanted players. And so I said, okay, fine. You can have Asar with, I think I threw in, like I said, some bench guys, and he was fine with that. So I was like, okay. So we'll see how that goes. We are weak now at the power forward position without Harris. So I may be in the market for that position. I do have a young guy. I'm trying to remember who he was just off the top of my head. Tui. He is a rookie, and he plays for Golden State, and he is a power forward. I don't know how much playing time he's going to get, but, Draymond's the old guard in front of him, and if that guy ends up going down, then maybe Tui ends up doing something. So that's something to keep an eye on. Tui's only 7% owned, so there's not a whole lot of hope that that's going to happen. But there's Jaden Ivey on my injured reserve, and I need him to come back. I did trade my 2026 second-round pick for 3 third-round picks. I do like spreading some things out sometimes, especially on these lower picks. Catch lightning in a bottle, maybe. Use those to move up in a draft, something like that. So I went ahead and made that trade. It was a little weird, I get it. And this guy was, first of all, his name is Did You Fart? Second of all, he was spamming offers like this everywhere, all through the league. And I happened to be one of the people who bit. He did send me, he was trying to get my 2026 first-round pick to give me some future first rounds, and I said no. I said, no, we'll do the lower ones. We're not doing the major ones. So again, I should now have 4 first-round picks, including 2 in 2028. And depending on how this team looks at that point, I might be able to build something really nice. Got to understand, 32-team league, first-round picks might be, not that valuable, depending on whose they are and all that. And I will say mine, if I really tank it here, will be very valuable. So I'm trying to hang on to mine. Anything else on this team? I think not. I think that pretty much covers that one. So let's jump over here to this is going to be the Sleeperaholics Anonymous team. This team is now 2-2, so still 500. It's an orphan team that I took over, and this one's going to be, I think, a grind. Nobody's really dominating. Nobody's really, sucking, I guess. But it's just going to be picking the right lock-in times and that sort of thing on some of these guys. This team does have Jason Tatum on IR. So it is grind it out until he comes back and then, see what we can do. It does have Pueltel, who I'm going to talk a little bit about on another team, and he has been a gigantic disappointment. I really hope he gets healthy. We did beat the average this week, so we lost to our opponent, but we beat the average, and I'm always looking on these grinded out teams to do that. So I think that's going to be a positive sign. We have all of our draft picks. In fact, I'll just scroll down here real quick. We haven't really moved around or anything. This one only has first and second round picks. So yeah, this one's a little bit draft pick light, if you will. And this one is a 32-teamer as well. It's a 32-team league. And it doesn't, I didn't get like a franchise. I had to take over whatever was given me. And that's kind of the way it happened. And we're 2-2. So I feel like that's probably a pretty good start. We might end up at some point when we get close to the trade deadline toward the end of the year, if it looks like things are kind of meh. We've got Porzingis here, who I think would be a likely trade candidate. And I think we got Tobias Harris again. In fact, I would probably trade Tobias Harris now. And the problem with Porzingis is you might as well trade him while he's healthy, which is never a guarantee. Little mention here about this Mitchell guy. So I had traded him away in another league for Curry. and some package stuff, and I was a little sad about that. So I was really happy to see he's on this team. I would also throw out, though, as soon as Tyler Harrow comes back, that guy is going to probably be less valuable. So I feel better about that deal that I did before, also because I actually in that league traded Curry, and we'll talk about that in a minute. That happened a lot sooner than I thought it would. But I think that pretty much covers this team. Yeah, let's move on to the next one. We are on to the Sporty McSportball team. Here they are. And a couple of notes on this one. First of all, going to be 1-1 again after this week. So the 500 theme just kind of keeps holding strong there. There are some exciting young players on this roster. So I got to choose between like 2 or 3 teams whenever I joined this league. And I did pick this one, number one, because it had really good draft picks, which we'll look at in a second. And it had some really exciting young guys. For example, this Seraph guy who didn't really impress that much this week, but has looked pretty good, is a rookie. Murray Boyles, remember I was telling you how Poeltl was disappointing? Opens the door for this rookie to come in and dominate a little bit. He's been really, really nice. And then Coward here is a rookie, and he's also been doing extremely well. So some really cool young players here. I did receive an offer for Zach Levine. I may have even written that down here. He was going to give me D'Angelo Russell, a guy named Gillespie, and a rookie named Zakarski for Zach Levine, and I did turn that down. So, but he is a likely maybe trade candidate if, again, things are looking a little weird toward the end of the season. We'll see how that goes. Also, Turner. This guy's been doing extremely well, and he might be someone who's worth looking at trading for some package if I can make that happen toward the end of the year. I think that's pretty much it. I was going to show you guys. This team has 4 first-round picks next year. It is a 32-team league. So, I mean, these could all be low, could all be high. I haven't really looked. It's too early. I did just lose to this team, which is a little upsetting. Amusha. And I kind of wish when I have their draft pick, I really love beating them because that means that pick gets a little bit better. But, it's all good. I mean, I've got mine as well here. Oh, no, it's the second round, so I don't have mine. But my hope is that I compete, finish 500, middle of the pack somewhere. And then if any luck, I have a couple of these guys above me and maybe a couple of these guys below me. But hopefully all 4 of them above me where I would have landed if that was the case. So 5 draft picks, 4 in the first round coming up for this team next year, and that's going to be fun. I'm going to look forward to that. In fact, I can almost assure you I will not stay put. I might package some of these things and move up. I might get to a pick and take a package to move down, something like that. I love doing that stuff in drafts. I did it for Edgecombe this year, and that's worked out nicely. So we'll kind of see how that goes. So that is the Sporty McSportball team. Let's move down here to the Celtics. And this was a team where, again, I got the Celtics roster. And this kind of was a startup. So I've been really trying to hang on to the Celtics roster. I don't think I've made any trades here. It does not look like I have. No, I haven't. So we're pretty much sticking with what the Celtics gave us. And that does mean we have Jason Tatum on the injured reserve list. But I will tell you, this guy here, Minot, has been really nice. This guy's pretty young, 3-year player, and he's getting a chance with Tatum out, and he's doing extremely well. So I was happy to get him in the starting lineup. Really happy with Hauser. He's also getting an opportunity with Tatum on the injured reserve, and I've had Hauser in my other league for a long time, been waiting for him to break out. Pritchard's a really nice, exciting young player too. So I did do some lower level trading on this, so I'll just go ahead and point that out. I traded some third rounders for some second rounders, along with some players I picked up off the waiver wire, which is kind of what I like to do. So you'll notice in 2026 I have a first and 2 seconds. 2027 I have a first and 3 seconds and a third still. And then in 2028 I have a first, 3 seconds, and 2/3. So like I said, I picked up some people off the waiver wire, kind of sent out some feelers and said, hey, you want to work out a deal for these guys? And they said yes. And so I took them. I didn't trade any of my Celtics. They were all players that were on other teams. But thought that was kind of interesting. And just as a note, I wrote down here, I locked in scores really well on this team. It actually makes it easier if you have one NBA roster to figure out where to lock in the players. It's kind of cool. So anyway, I did a really good job. I'll be curious to see the weekly report on this. It does give you an idea of who did well when they picked their lock-in scores and who didn't, and who was efficient and who wasn't. And I have a feeling I'm going to score really high on that. So let's go to the Tulsa home of Boldorados. This was kind of a funny. I was running out of team names, and so I came up with, and it never lets me look at this roster. This is like the second time this has happened. But yeah, it doesn't give me the matchup. It doesn't let me see the roster. So I'll just give you some notes on this one. It's a 16-man redraft league, so there's no taxi squad. You're not really looking for rookies. You're not looking for building over time. You're really just trying to win this year. This team is 1-1. I don't know if I mentioned that the Celtics, by the way, were 1-1 also. So again, maintaining 500 here. We were 5th in scoring this week out of 16 teams, and we lost, which is really upsetting. But that also tells me I'm in really good shape. I remember I was drafting this team kind of on the fly. I was out playing Magic with some kids at a school, and I told them, hey, I got this thing on my phone. I'm going to be checking. And I don't think they were that impressed, but I did a really good job of drafting this team. I really feel good about it. So probably not trading too much on this one. Yeah, everything just kind of looks good. So I think we'll just go with it. On to the heartbreak of the week. This is my first NBA dynasty team that I took over. This is my 3rd full season. This is their 5th season in existence in this league. And we suffered a heartbreaker. We lost by 3.5 points on Sunday night, last second. Just really not impressed with how that went down. But, that's the way it goes, and that's okay. We had a good week. We beat the average this week. So this team is 1-3. Really felt like it should have been 2-2, but that's okay. Edgecombe here. Again, we traded back one spot, picked up some extra players, and got Edgecombe, and he's been killing it. He's been doing really, really well. Also picked up Ryan Rollins, who I have not seen in any other leagues, and started him, and he did extremely well. Also picked up Jacques Landale. He was on my taxi squad for something like 17 weeks. I thought I'd, if I can, throw up the spreadsheet here just so you guys can see it. But Jacques Landale, he was on my taxi squad for 19 weeks back in the day. I finally gave up on him, cut him, picked him up this week, and put him right into the starting lineup just based on projections, and he did extremely well. So was very happy about that. Keita did pretty good, and look at this name here. Slipped a Russell Westbrook appearance in there, and he did great. He got me 27 points. So overall, man, we did great. In fact, there's one other name here I just have to mention. Jarris Walker was one of my draft picks. And if I go to my taxi squad, he has been a taxi squad warrior. Jarris Walker was on my taxi squad for 24 weeks, and he has been on my bench for 21 weeks. And he just got his 5th ever start, and he did very well as well. So things are looking really good for the Oklahoma Outlaws, and I just wish we'd have pulled off the win. I really do. But notice this, just again, how deep this lineup is. You got 4 guards, You got 4 forwards, you got 2 centers, and then I tend to go with centers in these utility spots. But I had some injuries and stuff that Poeltel again that did not help. I did pick up McClung on the waiver wire. We're going to see how that goes. Picked up Small on the waiver wire. See how that goes. I would have never guessed that I would not be starting Suggs right now. I'm shocked at that. Hardaway's been looking pretty good with Denver, so I'm going to try to hang on to him. Here's one of the guys I traded in another league, Duncan Robinson, to try and get Cooper Flag. So I'm kind of covered on both sides. If Robinson does well, I've got him here. And if he never does anything, then it's no big deal. Vanderbilt showed some life. Hauser showed some life, and I've had these guys waiting in the wings forever. So yeah, it's just looking really good. And notice on my injured reserve, I still have Paul George. If he literally comes back strong, I've got probably not a contender, but I've got a competitive team. I mean, he can fill up a stat sheet, that's for sure. And a notice here, Ivy. Once again, we're looking for that guy to come back and do the same thing. So the depth of this squad is now where I like it. There's people being claimed off waivers that I would have claimed off waivers in the past, and I'm not doing that this year. Notice Lively is on my taxi squad. That's crazy. Along with Carrington, these 2 guys I was really thinking would be starting for me this year, and right now don't necessarily need them. So they are waiting in the wings. I love having Shannon here. I love having Carter. Here's Watkins, who is a guy I like. James, who I like. Renaud, who I like. Little light on the first round picks down here. I've got a 2028. I don't have 2027. Don't have 2026. But I do have some lower rounds, and we'll see how that goes. I feel the need to just point out that there was a guy who put out a bunch of players on the trade block, and again, I was not that impressed. He's made some deals with some other people, but normally I would have been a buyer in that situation, and in this case, I couldn't find a roster spot where I could put any of these guys that I would have traded for. So I just wrote it out, and again had a pretty decent week. I just wish we wouldn't have lost by 3.5 points. Let me see here. By the way, I do have enough centers that I feel like toward the end of this year, I can probably trade back into the first round. That is a 14-teamer, by the way. So second and third round picks, not as worthless as in those 32-team leagues as well. So I feel like I'm actually still in pretty good shape. Let's jump to the Little Rock Boulders. I stole that name from James, my son. It's one of the funniest names I've ever heard, and I now live in Boulder. So found that to be kind of interesting. Pods really came through. Podzinski, he's a guy in several spots I'm kind of hoping will come through. Murray came through hugely. And the scoring in this league in particular is kind of cool. Now, this one's the one that took the place of a 24-team league from last year, and I kept checking, and it never renewed. So I think this was the one I got invited to that took over for that one. And, it's only an 18-team dynasty, and we did get to draft it this year. I drafted Karl Anthony Towns with my first pick, and this is one, too, where I moved around a little bit with a guy named Bronny who's been throwing trades in every league I'm in now. But this one's been looking pretty nice. I do remember picking a lot of Boston guards because I knew they were going to be in a little bit of flux this year without Tatum. And so I just kind of handcuffed a lot and just kind of really just picked who I wanted. And I guess that's the best way to put it. This team is 2-0. And I'm feeling really, really good about it. And I also, by the way, look at this injured reserve list. I have Kobe White and Tyler Harrow on the injured reserve. Kobe White I took with my 5th round pick, and I think Harrow I took with my 2nd round pick because I traded down and I picked up Harrow. And as soon as he comes back, man, I think we're going to be in great shape. And notice Connect is on my taxi squad, and he's actually been scoring some points. So Feeling really good about this team, feeling about holding tight on this team. And it is a dynasty. So notice they have 4 rounds, by the way. And I just have all my picks. And I don't really plan on doing a whole lot of trading in this one. I'm sitting at 2-0. I mean, why should I worry about it, right? Let's go to the Oklahoma Supersonics. Only 2 more teams to look at, by the way. So this was the team that I ended up with kind of adopting an orphan team. It is 1-1 right now. So I feel like that's an improvement because trust me, this team didn't win much till I showed up. I traded Steph Curry. He is no longer on my roster. That trade involved Curry and Mathurin. I traded with another guy who took over another orphan, and so both of our teams are kind of struggling. And he wanted Curry, and I had acquired Curry for that reason. I thought it would be later in the season, but knowing that was a team that needed the help basically as much as I did, made the trading a lot easier. So I traded Curry and Mathurin, who I had planned on keeping, and I picked up 2 guys that I can use immediately. I picked up Pritchard. I'm familiar with him from the Boston Celtics for some of my Celtics stuff. And I picked up Sharp. Both those guys will slide right in to my starting lineup. And they'll take the place, actually, of 2 rookies who have been a little bit meh, Riseacre and Filipowski. I won't have to start those guys. I can kind of see how they look before I have to put them in, which is kind of nice. That does mean I did make a trade for Schroeder, and he will take the place of Curry. And to be honest, he's outscored Curry so far this year. It is early, but he's done pretty well. So hopefully Schroeder just carries that load for me. He's not much younger, but he is younger. That's for sure. I also had traded for Huerter, and he has been pretty stable. I traded for Draymond Green, and he has been pretty stable. I took a lot of heat for that Green trade because I traded Connect. I'm okay with that. And Green is going to be on my trade block too, toward the trade deadline. That's for sure. This does allow for taxi squad moves, and I did just send out real quick. So a lot of time at the beginning of the season, the taxi squad will lock. And if you take someone off, you can't put anyone back on until the next off season. They didn't do that with this league, and I love that. This Watkins guy here, I'm seriously considering cutting him. And then I can move Filipowski or Riseacre, probably Filipowski, to a taxi spot. It saves me a roster spot. I don't have to cut anybody. I really want to keep AJ Green, and I really want to keep Bruce Brown. That's going to be my 2 candidates for maybe having to cut if I couldn't find a spot. And I did send out a league notice actually before I started this video saying, hey, I got a rookie here. If y'all want to trade for him, I'll be really reasonable. I'm hoping for like a 2nd round, 3rd round pick at worst. And then I'll open up that spot and not just have to cut him. But we'll see how that goes. We'll check next week on that. So notice here I ended up with 2 first round picks next year, which I like. This 1st and 2nd with the MRO one, that's the 2 picks that came in the Curry deal, and I'm pretty excited about those. I think both of those will work out in my favor. So if you look at the deal for Curry that I gave up, which was basically all picks, let me see if it'll show it here. So this was what I gave up. I gave up Mitchell, who when, again, Harrow comes back, he's not going to be as valuable. And I gave 4 first-round picks for Curry. And then when you look at what I got a 1st round and a 2nd round back, which is whatever. But I do think it was these 2, 1st and 2nd round. Oh, and I gave up 2 2nd round picks because me and this guy Kenzo, we talked a lot about in the drafts we like to trade with each other to move up and move back. And I'll just tell you now, I tend to move back, he tends to move up, and that works for me. So we sort of tried to guess where we could spread ourselves through the 2nd round and move each other around a little bit if we wanted to. But I got a 1st back So out of those 4 that I gave up, I at least got 1 back, and I also got a second. So call that a half a first round if you want, or something like that. I got to be honest though, Sharp and Pritchard definitely make up the difference, and I would rather have some people that are going to keep me with some momentum through this season rather than just tank. And I think both of these guys can do that. Pritchard's been really nice, so we'll see how that goes. So Curry only on my roster for a couple of weeks, and then he's gone. And I hope he scores 1 million points for that guy. I really do. That would be awesome. He's wanting to compete, like better than 500. I'm trying to just stay right in there at 500 if I can. So we're at 1-1, and I think that covers everything I wanted to talk about on that team. But that was a big trade. That was a big deal on that one. I will just throw out real quick, and I don't want to spend a ton of time on this. I was invited to another league, and this is one where I got to pick the Oklahoma City Thunder. And what I've been doing is just keeping this roster intact. Now, we haven't started our games yet. We're in kind of a GM mode where we just started some trading. We've just opened up waivers tomorrow, and I do have 6 transactions waiting to process for 1 a.m. Tomorrow morning. And basically just going to stick with the Oklahoma City Thunder roster and philosophy. So if OKC makes a move in the real world, then I'll maybe try to mirror that move in this league. But until then, probably not going to mess with it. I will say I turned down a massive offer for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Massive. Several first-round picks, a couple of pretty good players, and I just don't want to get rid of him. I turned down some lesser deals on Kason Wallace, Alex Caruso, and Dort. Those 3 players. Caruso was close because I don't necessarily need him, but I thought I would keep him anyway. So turned down offers on all of those. I do want to pick up some guys in the waiver process, and again try to work some of those lower level picks out. So notice we've got first, second, third on all these, and this is a 32 team league. If I can pick up some guys on the waiver wire and turn some of these thirds into extra seconds, usually what I do is I'll send a player with a third and ask for a second. And maybe one of these days that'll burn me, but I got to be honest, when I looked at the waiver wire on this league in particular, man, it was thin. Like there was not much there. So if I can turn those into some draft picks, I probably will. And I really don't get them thinking I'm going to make picks. I get them thinking I can use those to just, even if it's just move up, a few spots in a draft, I'll do it. And then honestly, if I get to a point where I want to move back some more, I can just keep accumulating those assets and then maybe pile them together and make an offer for somebody. So I can tell you with a 32 team league and three round, that's 96 picks. There's not 96 rookies available from year to year. There's only more like 60. So don't really know how that all looks, but I would probably try to move, some second round picks from a current year into some second round picks for the next year, stuff like that. Definitely move some third round picks from one year to pile them up and maybe get some second round picks for the next year. I just don't know how valuable these things are. And so I feel like when you're in the waivers and you're just really scraping the bottom of the barrel, turn it into a pick. That way there's no way they're going to get cut. There's no way they're going to get hurt. There's no way they're going to get assigned to G League or whatever. And you've got those assets and they're more likely to be appealing to some other people. So that's what I'm doing here. The only other thing I guess I would throw out is my friend. He is the Timberwolves in this league, and he is holding pat just like me. So there's not really much here for him to be examined on or look at. So, but that is his team right there, and he's pretty much just sticking with it, I think. Yeah, here it is. I must have picked the wrong thing or something, but he's just sticking with his Timberwolves. He is also in this league here, and he had said it was okay for me to talk about his Miami Heat, and he has been again holding tight. So with this many people in, it's probably makes some sense to do so. But so he has the Davion Mitchell here, of course, but then he also has on IR the Tyler Harrow, so he can actually play that, switch him back and forth game, that sort of thing. He's got all of his draft picks here. Doesn't look like he's really doing a whole lot in this league, and his record is, let's just see here. Is it going to show me his record? Maybe not. Yeah, it's not going to show me his record. So, but again, he's doing the long-term approach. He's really going to try to build, and it's actually kind of hard to stand pat. If you like to trade like I do, there is at least one guy out there. He will spam you with offers, and at some point he tends to hit on something where you're kind of like, that makes some sense, which I'm sure is what he's counting on. So anyway, this league video, this NBA fantasy video probably has gone on long enough. That is the update for week 2. And I'll just keep letting you all know how we're doing, and maybe it'll get more exciting once we get down towards some playoff time. I did look ahead in some leagues, and I've got some really tough schedule stuff coming up. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to stay at 500. Some of these are going to be long-term builds, but if you want to stick with me and watch the process, I'm down for updating you. All right. You guys stay safe out there, and I'll see you next week.